This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Hello. Well, you're listening to Animal Party on Pet Life Radio. You know, there's this word that I think would make a great dog name or cat name, except now that I know what it means, it's probably not a very good name, but what about the word Pica? Doesn't that sound nice? Pica, come here, Pica. Yeah, well, it's not so nice. So I'm going to tell you why Pica is a problem. I was talking about it in a previous show just a little bit, and I kind of covered what to do if you have a cat with Pica. And that's actually something a lot of you may have seen on one of those TLC shows, My Strange Addiction, where usually a woman, but sometimes a man, will eat very, very strange things compulsively to the point where they endanger their health. Things like baby powder or Bounce Dry sheets or, things you're really not supposed to eat if that's what they do. And so Pica is a form of that in cats. So I was talking about it and I was saying, if you got a cat who does this, well, distract them, give them lots of meals instead of free feeding all at once, put the meals, the treats and the food inside those treat delivery toys, that Kong makes and other manufacturers make, where the animal, dog or cat, has to really use their brain and their paws and their mouth to get the food. So they have an activity associated with the suckling that is eating and foraging, and similar to nursing where you need, and then that causes the milk to come and then you suck. Now, most of the time, I did cover that and I suggested some other things, but then I thought, that wasn't a really thorough coverage. So I went and did quite a bit of research on the topic and surprisingly came up with very little that I hadn't already told you to do. But there's a couple extra suggestions and some explanations which I find interesting. They're actually doing a study right now on Pica in cats. And that's where they watch cats on videotape without the cats realizing it. So, discreetly observe them doing this behavior and then make observations and scientific conclusions. And one thing they found that I think is really interesting is that the behavior is, well, it's equally common in boys and girl cats, so that's okay. But the interesting thing is it's much more likely in Oriental breeds. So that's like Siamese, Burmese, Himalayan. And they're starting to try and guess at why that might be. In particular, these cats, the Oriental breeds, when they manifest Pica, when they demonstrate this behavior, what they do is they pull fabric in past their molars as far back as they can get it. And then they do the suckling. And they've noticed in these studies that the non-Oriental cats, so the cats with a different shaped head, basically, less Oriental features, are not doing this. When they suck, it's at the front of the mouth. And so one suggestion is that the chewing technique is resulting from morphological changes that breeders created when they made the heads and eyes rescaled in the breeding process. So they kind of took a cat that was already there and they liked a feature and they exaggerated by breeding cats who displayed that feature over and over and over till they could get this really Oriental shaped head. And there's one, an apple cheek cat that is an extreme. It's you look at it and you think, what the heck is wrong with that cat? No, he's supposed to look like that. If you look him up on the internet, you'll see. That's an extreme example of breeding for head shape that's odd. And it probably was a defect originally. In fact, I'm sure it was. And then they went that way. But sometimes breeding is good. You intentionally, especially nowadays with genetic testing, you can breed out, get rid of epilepsy or get rid of some kind of defect you don't want. And that's awesome. But sometimes breeding is a little bit mad scientist. And it's all about looks. And they don't think about function. And in particular in dogs, they'll breed something so extreme, like a bulldog, that they can't deliver their own young naturally anymore because their heads are so big. Their bodies are so small. Their pelvis is small and their head is big. It's very cute. It's not very effective for childbirth. You want the opposite. So some of these things should be curtailed And we should know better. And if we don't know better, there should be organizations like the breeders' clubs and veterinary medical associations to crack down on these things, because this kind of breeding produces long-term results. Okay, so one of the things they suggested, which I'm not sure if I did, was that the cat should be groomed and stroked and talked to for 10 minutes at least twice a day. Now, I probably didn't suggest that because I'm kind of assuming you're already doing that. Because if you have a cat, why do you have a cat if you're not doing that? It's not like a painting or a vase. It's not just there. It wants interaction, especially if you only have one. If there's only one cat in the house, no other pets, and you're not grooming, stroking, talking to it 10 minutes a day, twice a day, come on. You need to give that cat more. All right, so another suggestion is to minimize the stressors in the cat's life, and that's a really good suggestion. So let's say you have stepchildren who are a little bit rough and too much for the cat, and they visit once a week. Maybe the cat needs a quiet place where they're not allowed. Quiet room, quiet crate, quiet anything. Just a cat scratch with one of those boxes on it where if the cat goes there, everybody knows, leave it alone. Something like that. So cats need privacy from craziness. But let's say those kids actually live with you. Well, let's start teaching them the manners. This is a small animal, and this is how we hold it, and this is how we pick it up, and we don't approach it when it doesn't want to be approached, and let it come to you, and all these things. Kids don't innately know this. So you can have a great relationship between your kids and your cat and be paving the way for them to one day become sensitive, wonderful big brothers and sisters and babysitters and possibly parents and all that. Or you could let them just run amok and figure, well, the cat can deal with it, and yeah, they might get scratched. You might end up having to give away the cat after they are too rough with it too many times. The cat might get injured. And also, you're not teaching anything except they're the center of the universe and nothing else matters. So don't do that. Instead, get them to be gentle and, deal with animals properly. This is your big chance to teach them that. And if you're just thinking from a self-interested point of view, if you don't teach your kids that, they're going to go out and get bit by somebody way bigger than your cat. Something's going to go wrong with that if they don't have a healthy attitude toward animals. Even if you're not a swimmer, you want to teach your kids to swim so they don't drown. It's the same idea. Even if you don't care about everybody else's animals and your own, you want to teach your kids so they don't get hurt. And I can tell you, if you teach your kids to interact with and respect animals, animals will be part of their life forever. And it will be an extremely rewarding part of their life and give them an outlet for exercise, for safety. A girl with a big dog can go anywhere. For independence, for confidence, for nurturing, for kindness, for receiving kindness as well as giving it. It's a big deal. So do it right, people. Okay, so one more thing they said was minimize stresses, and I'm thinking like a noisy washing machine right beside a litter box is not the way to go, right? Where you feed your cat and where it goes to the washroom should not be together. There should be some space between those spots, or at least timing. You might put the food down, give the food yourself in a different area and then pick it up again if your house is not big. But you don't want to have the food sitting beside the litter box, as I often see. And that's stressful. And you also don't want to have the litter box in a noisy area where so all of a sudden the furnace kicks on or the washing machine kicks on, and now the cat's perpetually, constantly stressed about going to the bathroom. Do I go to the bathroom? And the thing turns on and I'm terrified. So that's a recipe for accidents. So move that litter box to a calm, quiet place and you'll be doing a lot better. Now, one of the veterinarians in one of the articles said, a suggestion, I think is outrageous. Yes. So we're going to come back and talk about that after the break. Stay tuned on Animal Party Pet Life Radio.
You know the expression, cats have 9 lives. Well, what if you can give them one more? The Give Them 10 movement is on a mission to help give cats an extra life. How? With spay and neuter. Spaying or neutering your cat helps them live a longer, healthier life. And it helps control free-roaming cat populations too. Learn more about the benefits of spay and neuter and meet Scooter, the neutered cat, at givethem10.org. That's givethem10.org.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Hello, we're back on Animal Party Pet Life Radio. Before I tell you the outrageous bit, I'm going to tell you what they want you to know for sure. If your cat is exhibiting this behavior and it never did before, suddenly, all of a sudden chewing things, usually clothes, socks, underwear, things it can find, and making them wet and sucky on clothing or material, if your cat is doing this, the first thing you're supposed to do is go to the vet. Because sometimes pica can be caused by, I'm going to read them out to you, iron deficiency, anemia, certain digestive pancreatic problems, hyperthyroidism, dental disease, dietary inadequacies, intestinal parasites, and small intestine or large intestine bowel disease. Now, some of these are expensive, but some of these really aren't. So to be chasing a problem you think is behavioral when actually your cat just needs some iron, or your cat has a bad tooth and can be pulled, there could be a quick solution at the vet. So that's the first stop. All right, well, once you ruled that out, this veterinarian here on this study, and I'm not going to name her because God bless her, she gave a really good article and she's doing a really good study. But this suggestion, I don't know. She says, give your cat small frozen chunks of raw fish that have been soaked in water. And also rawhide, the kind you give dogs, soaked in water. This is what you're supposed to give your cat? Okay, I think that's a no. That is a big no for me. For one thing, I don't give rawhide to dogs because they swallow clumps of it and it gets stuck in their intestines. And it can be a $2 purchase that costs you $1,000 very quickly to get it removed. Not to mention, I have curly-haired, doodly types and a blue heeler. And the mess it does to the curly hair is just, it's terrible. It's like glue. Just no rawhide here, ever. Not even at Christmas, not even when it's dyed red and green for me to think the dogs will like it. No, I don't fall for rawhide. So I wouldn't give it to a cat either. So that's the first thing. And in a multi-pet house, your dog's going to take it. So forget that. Now, raw fish. Well, while I would give a cat fish to eat, I would cook it because I'm very worried about salmonella and I'm very worried about raw contamination back and forth between visitors, kids, people, immune people who are immune compromised, elderly, all kinds of reasons why you don't really want raw food around like that. But would I give a cat some fish to eat? Absolutely. Would I pour some, fish broth on something for a cat to eat? Yes. But would I give a cat small frozen chunks of raw fish? No, because I know how cats are. And they would take one of those pieces somewhere else, like my bed, like a carpet, like on top of somebody's clothes, like on my seat that I'm sitting on right now in my radio studio. That's where they'd take it. And they would chew on it. And then I would have the disgusting stench of raw, fishy meltwater all over everything. So I would say we will skip that suggestion. but the other suggestions are really good. Okay, I'm going to go to one more break and come back. We certainly covered pica. If you have a cat with pica and you have a comment or question for me, please send it in. If you have tried a tracking dog collar, a no-bark dog collar. Let's see, what else have we got questions of? Because we keep getting viewer questions, listener questions about these products. And I don't know of a good GPS tracker for dogs to recommend. I don't know, for dogs or cats. And I have been asked about both. And I don't know of a good doggy door that has a remote with collars, so only your pets can enter, dogs and cats. And if it's a multiple house, what would work for that? Yeah, I don't know. And I don't know if there's a 3-in-1 that has, the no bark feature as well. So if you're out there and you've tried any of these things and you have a yes or no or a review for me or you think I should check it out, let me know. I'm always open to suggestions. Deb@PetLifeRadio.com. Okay, we're going to go to break and come back. Stay tuned on Animal Party Pet Life Radio.
Has your dog or cat chewed through yet another set of sheets?
I get it. I've been there. But instead of replacing them with more scratchy, low-quality bedding, why not treat yourself to what Oprah and Kris Jenner sleep on every night? It's called Cozy Earth, and yes, it's as dreamy as it sounds. Their bamboo sheets and pajamas are buttery soft, cooling, moisture-wicking, and they actually get softer every time you wash them. I'm talking next-level snuggle mode here, folks. These sheets have been on Oprah's favorite things list 7 years in a row, and there's a reason why. Cozy Earth gives you the softest, coolest sleep of your life. And just for Pet Life Radio listeners, I scored you an exclusive 41% off. That's the biggest discount they offer anywhere. Just use promo code PetLifeRadio at CozyEarth.com and sleep like the celebrity your pet already thinks you are. That's CozyEarth.com, promo code PetLifeRadio. You'll thank me at bedtime.
Let's talk pets
Let's talk pets
on Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Hello! We're back in Animal Party, Pet Life Radio. And I was watching, monitoring, fearing for this kid who was gone for a whole night. A 7-year-old girl wandered off after the neighbor's dogs. And the way the grandmother put it, she said, one of the dogs came back to tell me. Now, I don't know exactly what she means by that because I didn't interview her. She's all the way over on the other side of the country in Nova Scotia. But I do know what she means by that. When an old dog comes back to say, hey, something's wrong, the rest of the dogs are still gone, the girl's still missing, the other dogs eventually come home, but the one dog came back to tell Grandma, hey, something's wrong. So the search began, and 25 hours later, they found the missing girl. And she's okay. She's okay. But keep an eye on your kids. Don't let them follow the neighbor's dogs into the forest. What a situation that was. All right. In Whistler, a bear was fed, and a fed bear is a dead bear. The lady who was feeding them last year is no longer there and got her comeuppance. But now the bears are habituated, and one of the bears she used to feed came back and attacked a woman. And so the bear was killed, but now there's 2 cubs that are orphaned. And so everybody's on the lookout for these 2 tiny little 3.5-pound milk-fed bear cubs. And it's just such a shame. Don't feed the wildlife, no matter how cute they are. Don't throw the end of your sandwich to the coyote when you're on a work break and you see him behind a tennis court downtown. Don't do it. It might feel like instant gratification to see him recognize you and give you that look of yeah, score, and take off with the food. It might feel like you're doing a good thing, but you are not doing a good thing. You're signing his death warrant when you feed a wild animal. You're telling him, come back, steal, beg, and prey on people. And once you teach them that, their days are numbered. So if you love the animals, don't do it. All right. So a couple shows ago, I was talking to a veterinarian, about veterinary medicine. And one of the things I mentioned was a particular call I received from someone I know well, who has a very old, very, very heavy Rottweiler who had cancer and was dying. And they called, he couldn't get up, and they called to have a vet come to the house and euthanize the dog. And in the end, they had to call around because they live a little bit out of town, maybe a 15-minute drive from one city and 20 from the other. And so they ended up there was no one available 15 minutes away, so they ended up 20 minutes away, and they got a vet to come out. And even though they buried the dog themselves, there was no transportation whatsoever, it cost them $1,000. So I think about that. And the vet I was talking to on the air was saying, well, there's the cost of transport and removing the body and disposing of the butt. Well, none of that was involved. There's the cost of bringing a vet tech. I don't believe he did bring a vet tech because the woman who owns the dog was a vet tech prior. So I think that was not part of the cost. But yes, is $1,000 a reasonable cost? I don't know. I've heard recently another customer wrote in from Toronto, which is a big city, downtown area, so you'd think prices would be higher. Rents are higher for the clinics there. West Annex area of Toronto. And it's Bickford Park Animal Hospital. And that animal hospital is just known for their amazing care and kindness. But in particular, one of the dogs that they'd been seeing for Librella, so something you give dogs when they're very elderly or sick and nothing can be done, but it gives them a lot more joy and pain-free life. Maybe extends their life, I'm not sure, but it gives them better quality. So their dog was receiving these injections every couple of months. And recently, the humans were unwell and couldn't take the dog to the clinic. So the vet agreed to come and give the dog her shot, let herself in, let herself out, because the people are busy at the hospital, and not charge extra for that. And that's something, people. If you are near Bickford Park Animal Hospital and you want to know where to go for a kind vet, a good vet, not a cheap vet, prices are like the others, care is exceptional, but they will go out of their way for you. So Bickford Park Animal Hospital, give them a shout out, give them a call. If you've got a dog to get vaccinated or a cat to get vaccinated and you're in downtown Toronto, why not? They've got a really good reputation. Okay, so before we go, I know I've been asked every week to say a joke, but some of you, that was one reader, asked me to do a pet joke every week, and some of you have been groaning at my jokes and sending in better jokes and telling me not to do jokes anymore. So I think instead I'm just going to try to find something amusing. So here's something amusing from the news. There was a runaway tortoise, a pet tortoise, runaway escaped tortoise, run away, run. And he was missing for an entire month. So how far do you think he got? They found him. How far would a tortoise get in a month? That's my question for you. And if you have little kids in your life or grandkids in your life, you can ask them this question. See if they can answer it. The answer: the tortoise, happily reunited with his family after missing for an entire month, was found an entire 1 mile from home. So that's the speed of a tortoise, a mile a month. I always wanted to know. All right then, that's kind of my speed on a beach vacation, pretty much. Okay, everybody, thanks for listening. And ciao meow, it's been a big cat show today from me and Animal Party and Pet Life Radio. Be good to your animals.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.